We have been exploring the five remembrances this year, their challenges as well as their benefits. And several weeks ago, Bill talked about how difficult he found the fourth remembrance, which asks us to see clearly that we will inevitably be separated from all that we love and hold dear. And I'm sure we all have our favorites. For me, the most challenging is the fifth remembrance that states, I am the owner and heir of my actions. There is no escaping the consequences of these actions. My actions are the ground on which I stand. The challenge in this for me is that when I begin seeing more clearly the consequences of the pain, the suffering, the harm that my actions have caused, it seems to stir the pot and bring up the muck of all my unskillful acts, my unkind words and thoughts, while completely disregarding the results of any beneficial actions. This is painful and difficult, and at times can be overwhelming and can result in what I think of as a shame storm. The winds of regret, remorse, guilt, shame, self-pity, blaming, all swirling around like a hurricane in my heart, mind, body. And I recall the story of Milarepa, who was an 11th century Tibetan monastic whose backstory was that he had been a mass murderer and come to feel remorse and became a monastic as a result, a well-revered monastic. And one evening, Milarepa returned to his cave after gathering firewood, only to find it filled with demons. They were cooking his food, sleeping in his bed, reading his books. They had basically taken over the whole home. He didn't know how to get rid of them. So first he thought, I'll teach them the Dharma, then they'll go away. Well, that didn't happen. They were still there. Then he lost his patience and got angry and ran screaming at them. They just laughed at him. Finally, he gave up and just sat down on the floor saying, I'm not going away, and it looks like you're not either. So why don't we just live here together? At that point, they all left except one. And he thought, whoa, this one is really vicious. And I imagine we all know that one. We all have that one, and sometimes lots of them like that. And sometimes we feel that's all we've got. Well, he didn't know what to do, so he surrendered even further. He walked over and put himself right in the demon's mouth and said, just eat me up if you want to. And then that demon left too. This story reminds us that coming to terms with our demons, our mistakes, our unskillful actions takes a willingness to be vulnerable and surrender. It's all in there, and the practice can bring light to these dark places, these demons, so that they pop up. They jump out at us, they surprise us, they take over, they challenge us. It's not just about having an intellectual knowledge, as Milarepa trying to teach the Dharma to the demons, or trying to push them out with aversion, getting angry. But we need to accept them as part of ourselves, living here together. And then having the willingness, courage, and faith in the practice to surrender to the experience, to have an embodied heart, mind, body awareness that involves feeling the pain, the hurt, the remorse, putting ourselves in the demon's mouth to begin the process of healing and compassion. Now, I don't know if our demons magically disappear, but I do know that they become less frightening and loosen their grip and can even become friends rather than enemies, our medicine rather than our poison. So how do we gather the courage and strength to put ourselves into the demon's mouth? How do we dare look into the darker places, the shadow places within ourselves, to be willing to acknowledge our not so pure intentions that may have a smattering of ill will, or simply just accept the mistakes we've made out of ignorance, selfishness, or insensitivity? Mark Coleman points us to our common humanity, suggesting we can remember we're not alone in coming to terms with our demons. He states, making mistakes, having poor judgment, and doing things we know we shouldn't in the heat of the moment are a natural part of the human condition, part of our common humanity. We could ask ourselves, as he does his students, who of us has not caused someone harm through their words and actions? Is there anyone who has not caused harm in some way through their sexuality? Or is there anyone who doesn't regret acting or saying something foolish in a moment of passion and reactivity? This is the importance of Sangha. We come together and realize we're not alone. We share our challenges and the fruits of our practice, our shortcomings, as well as our growth. The generosity of Sangha creates a safe place where we can strengthen our capacity to risk being vulnerable. We also cultivate the wholesome, the beneficial, as Fabiola talked about on Monday. We develop confidence and faith in our ability to investigate and explore our actions and intentions more intimately and let go of unwholesome, non-beneficial clinging to our mind's natural tendency to be self-absorbed with self-criticisms and fault-finding. We have spent time on practicing the Brahma Viharas, kindness, compassion, gladness, equanimity, for just this reason. As Jay spoke about so eloquently last week, we hold not only those we have harmed in kindness and compassion, but we practice holding ourselves as well, demons and all, not bypassing or rationalizing the harm and hurt we have caused others and ourselves. We don't try to fix the past or cling to our past actions, but in the present moment, hold the pain tenderly with great respect and care, turning poison into medicine, turning our harmful actions into the intention to be kinder, being willing to notice and feel the consequences of non-helpful actions, non-beneficial actions, and recognize how even our faults and mistakes, as Domyo Burke, a Zen priest in San Francisco, states, we use our faults and mistakes and let them arise deep down from a life force that seeks to survive, experience love and belonging, and learn and grow. And that even my worst qualities and biggest mistakes are me doing my very best with incomplete understanding and limited skills. And remembering this, we can begin to forgive ourselves and see our light as well as the shadows that the light reveals. And I'd like to read a few lines, some excerpts from a poem by Jeff Foster that I think speaks lovely to just this. He says, fall in love with the darkness, with the piss and the shit of life, the shadows, the hidden parts, the bits we hide out of shame. Know that darkness is not darkness, only scared fragments longing to come into the light, beings who want love and attention and breath and inclusion in the larger picture of self. Do not seek the light, friend. Simply be the light. Be what you are, the light of life, and have the courage to shine fully on the sore places, the tender places. Illuminate, radiate, make it safe for the little monsters to come out of hiding. Let them know they are beautiful and worthy and not monsters at all. Thank you so much for your kind attention.